Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Right Time. My name is Bomani Jones. Thanks for listening wherever you get your podcast. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars. I'm inclined to believe you are a hater. It is Foxworth Friday. Domonique Foxworth, what's going on, man?
What's happening?
Hey, man, you in the busy season now. Like, I always tell that to people who don't really quite get it, that, like, if we do this job, football season is the busy season. Like, it don't matter unless you work on the jump. It don't matter. If you work here, football season is like, yo, like I got weekends and it don't sound like, you know, watching these games is working. But no, we going to be working. And then it's a game on Monday night. And then at least early, it's a game on Thursday night. Not that they not other games on Thursday night later in the year. But normally by the end of the year, the Thursday night games don't necessarily require your attention. Yeah. Like, they might not actually be important.
It's busy season, which is weird because it's also easy season. I guess like the preparing shows, easy. But just being on top of everything and working all the time and just being available for all shows all the time, ready to talk about any topic from all 32 teams, because we're still at a point where there's something interesting all over the country. But this gets really hard. But the offseason is not nearly as busy. But boy, as you know, boy, is it hard sometimes to fill up a rundown.
Scraping the bowl, boy. Scraping the bowl. Football season, we'll come up with something, right? Like, y'all care so much about football, it don't matter what kind of football we giving you. If we give you a little bit of football, chances are you will be very, very happy, right? But you making these trips up now, you coming up to New York for a couple days and going back down and everything. Like you earning your money right now.
Absolutely, but another thing about easy season is the Cowboys. The Cowboys are good.
Thank you.
Boy, that is good for everybody. I'm not like a fan of anybody, but since I've been working here, I realized that the Cowboys make us all look good. I'm sorry if you hate the Cowboys, but when the Cowboys playing well, ratings go up for everybody. Yes. And the topics are so easy. We can pick, you know all the players, whether you want to admit it or not. You know all the players on the Cowboys team, and if any of them do or say anything, not just the players, the owner, the coaches, everybody knows both coordinators. Like, average football fan don't know both coordinators on their own damn team, but they know the coordinators in Dallas. So, man, that soap opera, that be putting food on a lot of tables.
Yo, so since I've been doing this as a professional, I have wondered, would it be better for business if, like, I was covering the Jimmy Johnson Cowboys, or was it actually best for business what it's been about the last 10, 12 years, which is pretty good? Like, we've had about 3 or 4 seasons for them that have come all the way down to the last game only for them to not make the playoffs, right? There's always, like, there wasn't no real drama with the Jimmy Cowboys until it all ended, right? But now there's always some push-pull. We had the Dak Prescott situation, which is, when you really think about it, like, kind of unique. Like, that doesn't happen very often. Tony Romo coming off, like, the best season of his career, and now his career is over, and the other dude actually turns out to be good, and they got them both by dumbass luck in their initial acquisition of them. You know, like, the Cowboys, they are. And people, I'm not a Cowboys fan. Like, I grew up in Texas, but I'm not a Cowboys fan. It is different with them, man. There's just no way around it. Like, their presentation, the jerseys, the fact that half the league has always wanted to play for them for their whole careers. It's just different, man.
Anybody who's arguing against that is just hopelessly naive, because you can tell that it's different by, like I mentioned, you know a bunch of people on the team if you're just an average fan, but you know retired players like Moose Johnston, a fullback, was like doing premier games. Like, it was only because he was on the Cowboys. You look around, Jason Witten walk off the field into the Monday Night Football booth because he's a Dallas Cowboy. Oh, yeah. Anyway.
It would fit.
That's fair. That is fair. The Dallas Cowboys, man, it's a special organization, and they are, if you break down like the value, I know you can actually figure out how much they're worth, but they're worth so much more to the league. It's kind of like LeBron is to the NBA. Like, just their presence makes everything important. You notice this year, or last year, were ratings like shaky a little bit on the NFL?
Yeah, this year they go
primetime Cowboys, primetime Cowboys. You know what? Primetime Cowboys again. And Jerry go out there and say some foolishness, and we talk about that for 3 days.
Yes. Don't let the stress of daily life weigh on your body. Whether you're an elite athlete, someone like me, just trying to make it through the day tension-free, Theragun can help. Theragun is the handheld percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combination of depth, speed, and power, and it's quiet as an electric toothbrush. The Gen 4 Theragun doesn't just feel good. It gets to the source of the pain by releasing tension, using Theragun's signature percussive therapy, which goes 60% deeper than vibration alone. Whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out, an injury, or just the stresses of everyday life, there's no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4. I like to use it after I've gotten done with a long workout. Not immediately, but a little bit later in the day. And any stiffness that comes up, Theragun lets that go. I tried. I think you should too. Theragun is trusted by 250 professional sports teams like Real Madrid and elite athletes like Paul George, DeAndre Hopkins, Maria Sharapova, hundreds of thousands of customers, and me. Try Theragun for 30 days, starting at only $199. Go to therabody.com/Bomani right now and get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's therabody.com/Bomani. therabody.com/Bomani. Life is full of stressors. Doesn't matter who you are or what you have, your life is probably stressful. Like you, man, I got a job to deal with, I got relationships in my life, all of those things. You may not be feeling down and out and depressed or like you're at a total loss, but if your stress is high, your temper is shorter than usual, or even if you're starting to feel strain in any of your relationships, you could probably use the chance to unload. When there are things you can't tell anyone or feel like you can't unload to family and friends, you need to unload it, and that's what therapy can be. BetterHelp is customized online therapy that offers video, phone, and even live chat sessions with your therapist, so you don't have to see anyone on camera if you don't want to. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can start communicating with your therapist in under 48 hours. Unload the stressors and get some unbiased feedback. You'll be pretty surprised at what you might gain from it. See if it's for you. This podcast is sponsored by BetterHelp, and the right time listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Bomani. That's BETTERHELP.com/Bomani. So, let me tell you what they have now, though, I think, that they really haven't had in a while when you think about it. They've got two legitimately exciting players. Like, they're still in development mode, and so they're not those dudes right now, but they gave CeeDee Lamb 88 for a reason. Like, when that gets to be as good as it's going to be, that's a legitimately exciting player. And your man Micah Parsons on the other side, who seems to be the ultimate see-ball, hit-ball dude, right? Like, some dudes can play, some dudes can think and play. Some dudes just got to just put you somewhere where you just got to go hit things.
Yeah.
He is number 2. And like they're like, yo, why don't we put you at defensive end? So now it looks like they're going to have him and DeMarcus Lawrence at defensive end on either side. Good luck to everybody.
Yeah, and then Jalen Smith comes in to replace him in middle linebacker. It's not like you're taking a huge step down. Like, this defense went from putrid to, like, middle of the pack with a high upside.
Yes.
Like, if those guys, in the way that Trayvon Diggs has been playing lately, if he turns into, like, a real reliable cornerback, which he's been that since, like, mid-season last year, I guess, he started to turn into something. If he takes another step from there, like, they are and we're all guilty of sometimes falling into the Cowboys hype, but they're a legitimate Super Bowl contending team. Like, I wouldn't bet on them to beat the Rams or the Bucks, but by the end of a football season, lots of things happen, lots of things change, and in one game sample size, like, I feel more confident about this Cowboys team making a run than I have about any in a long time. And if we can get that, whew.
By the way, Jalen Smith, see ball, hit ball.
Yeah.
I would run a play fake every down where I saw him. Every single one.
But there's something about having that mindset that kind of, I'm trying to pick the right word that's not pejorative, but there's there's paralysis by analysis oftentimes. If there is a level of like thinking in any play, you're like, man, they might play action us right now in a 2nd and 2. They're midfield. This might be a shots period. They brought in their blocking tight end, but they got 2 tight ends. Like, you start doing that, that's a problem for some guys. And if you are an exceptional athlete, go out there. You know the rules. Yeah. Don't let them get in the end zone.
And by the way, it is not a measure of your intelligence what I'm describing, because I think, I don't know if you've heard, I made this example about me playing basketball. Like, back when I did such things, one-on-one, I kind of had something for you, right? Like, I wasn't great, but I kind of had something for you. 2-on-2, still pretty good. And 3-on-3, we can make this go. 4-on-4, it's a lot going on out here, man. A lot of things I could be getting wrong as this goes. And you put it at 5-on-5, and I'm like, nah, man, I can't. Like, hold on. I need a piece of paper to do some of this scratch work. Like, I don't have the react gene. I got the think gene. Right? Some people, some people got that react gene, and you just need to let those people react. Like, I was thinking, I read Chris Brown, Smart Football. He wrote a book where he was talking about the difference between a one-gap scheme in football and a two-gap scheme. And I had never seen anybody properly explain it, right? Because I couldn't understand how one person was supposed to be responsible for 2 gaps on a football field. And basically, Pete Carroll got there and was like, no, I am running a scheme with 4 down linemen, and it's 1 gap. And basically, I'm just telling dudes, go do this one thing right here. Yep. Right? Nope. That half second it takes to try to think about this other thing. Nope. You go do that right there.
I mean, that's and I know you didn't mean it that way, but I know other people might take it that way. So that's why I brought it up. But that's why the word instinctive comes up. And there's so many football buzzwords that like have come to mean nothing but actually mean something. But when you say a player is instinctive, it does have some pejorative tint to it. But that's kind of what you mean. It's like, it's not that they aren't smart. It's that the computation happens quickly enough. Or whatever they're doing, I don't know. I'm not that guy. I can't climb into their brains because a lot of those guys make a lot of plays. It's not like that they aren't thinking, that it's either that they think so fast that it's like they aren't thinking, or they aren't thinking. And they're just like, man, I'm going to go get it.
Right.
And they're right more than they're wrong.
And they can't tell you, right? Like, so Troy Polamalu, who I think is like the poster child for instinctive football player, I look at him as being different than Ed Reed, where Ed Reed is a dude who has studied all this and is willing to roll the dice on, I think I know what's coming here. Polamalu just seems to be like, I feel and sense where all of this is going on, right? And then on top of it, he didn't really talk, and he had all that long hair and everything. Like, it all seemed real, like, noble. You know what I'm saying? Right? And he's just like, he seemed like he was psychic. And not just psychic, fast. It hits hard, it can catch.
Yeah. Ed is a supercomputer. If you ask him the right questions, he'll break it down, and he may not use the terms of like statistics and probability, but that's essentially what he's doing. He's like taking into consideration what happened in the past, these formations, this time of the game, this position of the field versus what defense we're in, and essentially made the bet that the probabilities are it's worth me taking this chance right now, and he's right more often than he's wrong. And he may not think about it that way, but if you ask him enough questions, that's where you end up. But you're right. With Troy, snap the ball, and he just is right sometimes. And when he's wrong, it's not that big of a problem.
Dog, I remember the first time I ever saw him play. It was the Orange Bowl, his last year at USC. So, like, the uptick on the Carroll dynasty was Carroll got there in 01, and they weren't really good. And then 02, they picked it up. And by the end of the year, they made the Orange Bowl. Carson Palmer won the Heisman Trophy. And I was in grad school out there at the time, but USC had been sorry for so long. Like, I needed some time before I understood that I was supposed to invest any effort into watching this. Man, I saw that dude Polamalu. No, in fact, first time was the Notre Dame game that year. I saw that dude Polamalu in that game, and then in the Orange Bowl, and I was like, I have never seen anything like this before, ever. Like, I'm assuming he's really good. I don't even care. It doesn't matter. Like, this is amazing to watch what we got going here. And Pete Carroll typically runs, like, basically a cover there then was much more a Monty Kiffin cover 2 sort of dude. But Polamalu was not playing no cover 2.
You can't put that in a system. You tell everybody else, cover up for him, let him do what he wants. But like, this like brings me talking about the mind of these players. I remember, and so like I'm a generally smart guy, but like the football stuff, like it's not like super computer like Ed, obviously. No, there are very few people like that. And on Get Up Early this week, I think it was Rob Ninkovich was saying, he was talking about Brady's mindset before this big game that he's going into against Belichick. And he was like, Brady's not going to feel anything. He's not going to get emotional. He's going to be locked in. And Rob then was like, Nick knows what it's like to be playing your opponent and to be able to block all that stuff out and focus. And I started shaking my head. No, I don't. Like, I understand generally, but I cannot pretend to be in the mind of a sociopath, which is what it feels like Tom Brady has to be. Like, the man has won 7 Super Bowls, been there 9 times, and somehow it still wakes up in the morning ready to work. I can't pretend to be that. And the way that I learned that when I was playing with Ed is we're in practice. We do practice for a 2-minute drill against the ones on offense. The Joe Flacco completes a pass down the field, gets him in the field goal range. He comes up, runs up the line of scrimmage to spike the ball. Ed creeps up to the line of scrimmage. Joe snaps it, spikes it. Ed dives under the center's legs and tries to catch the ball. He touches it. He like taps it up and tries to catch the ball. And that's what I mean. Like, as a football player, I'm closer to being able to understand what Tom Brady thinks or what Ed Reed thinks than most other regular people, but I'm not close at all. I don't think like that. In practice, that's what you thought? That crossed your mind?
He tried to intercept in practice.
Yeah. He tried to intercept the spike, and he touched the ball. He dove through the center's legs and touched the ball, and nobody thought anything of it. I'm standing out on the left corner looking in like, what in the hell? Because everybody's just kind of standing up because we know what's going to happen. It's the same in games. And he's just practicing it because in his mind, maybe this is going to happen. I'm about to make this play. I'm about to make this play right now, and then I'm going to know that I can make it. So there's going to come a chance in a game where I'm going to intercept the spike. And I'm thinking this is outrageous.
And you're a safety. You're not supposed to be anywhere near this place.
No. He just runs up and like the D lineman, like in a like a lackadaisical 3-point stance, and everybody just standing there. We know what's gonna happen, and he times it up, slides under, and Joe snaps it, steps back, throws it down right into Ed's hands. I mean, he can't catch it, but it's just the mind to think like that is. Glad he was good at football. It's same for Tom Brady because them dudes was not going to be failures in life. They was going to do whatever it took.
Man, I hung out with Ed once, probably about an hour at the Clevelander when we used to shoot over there because he and Brian McKinney had come up there to do something with Dan. And it's Ed Reed outside in a horizontally striped, I don't think it was a heel figure because that would be a bit anachronistic, but I do think it was a polo with horizontal stripes, which is absolutely what you would imagine that Ed Reed would be wearing. When Ed Reed was playing once, I think this is what he had to throw at some point. I said Ed Reed looked like he looked like he got a drawer at the crib that's full of Negro League hoodies. And plastic picks, not even the ones with the fist. You know what I'm saying? Like that was that dude. And we out there, and he was telling the story about the time that and people they've told this story publicly, but about the time that the Hurricane stomped some dude out at the club to go home and find out that it was heavyweight contender Shannon Briggs. Yes. This is when they were in college. They stomped out the heavyweight contender. Now, granted, I bet you don't feel like no heavyweight contender next to McKinney, who might be the largest man I have ever met.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that even football players are like, whew. We played on the same Ravens team. They signed him one offseason, and I just remember coming in, like, that was the first time he and I were in the same room, and it's like, nah, you're like a future football player or something because he's a nimble athlete, and he was like 6'9", right?
Yeah, he was like 6'8", 6'9".
Yeah, and 370 maybe, like just enormous, and was like nimble and athletic. It wasn't like a sloppy 370. That dude is crazy to look at. But yeah, Ed, that might have been a Hilfiger shirt. Ed never cared much about clothes, cars. I mean, he got nice enough stuff, but like he cared about hats.
Yes.
That's like he cared about hats, cigars, some country ass alligator shoes or something like that. But like other than that, he would drive a Chevy Traverse to practice every day and be dressed like a regular dude.
See, the driving the Traverse surprises me because he is from, I want to say Laplace. He's from somewhere in South Louisiana, like New Orleans adjacent. But one thing about being around New Orleans, and some cats are kind of, I don't want to say front on you, but I think they'll tell people from out of town they're from New Orleans just to keep it simple.
Right.
They're unlike any other city in America. It is either New Orleans or it is not. Like there is no, like I'm from suburb. Nah, you from New Orleans or you're not. You know, like that's just one of them places. But he's from down around there, and I would absolutely expect in 2021 Ed Reed riding around with some triple gold D's.
Oh no, he might have had that at home because like he had a place up here in Denver. Up in Baltimore, he had a place that was like a normal house. Like Ed Reed had neighbors in Baltimore, like real neighbors, and he would drive his Chevy Traverse and park it in his driveway next to his regular old middle class dude who had a Chevy Traverse too, which just was a different color. I think Chevy makes Traverse. It might be a Ford. Anyway, you get the point. But like that was here. But in Atlanta, I'm sure he got like or somewhere in Louisiana, he probably got something nice, and that's where he got the gold rims on his old school or something, possibly.
Yo, what a great phrase there. Ed Reed had neighbors. like Ed Reed is walking around living by regular people.
Yeah, it wasn't a neighbor. He had neighbors. He was between two houses it was like a single family home, like just living. But it was like he's one of those people, you hear all of us like have learned to say the right things. I don't care about nothing but football. I'm completely committed. Like I'm here for the love. Like he wanted the money. He cared about other things, but he was as close to that person as you could possibly be. That like, I mean, he wanted the money because other people was getting the money, but he like really all that team stuff. That's why, I mean, Ray was obviously a team leader, but like when you got in the locker room, by the time I was there, maybe the situation was different in the past. By the time I was there, like it was the guy, man. He was the guy that everybody looked to when there was a problem with the coach. People said, Ed, I need you to go talk to Harbs or something like Ed was the guy.
Yeah, I imagine that by then maybe Ray had gotten to be too big, and B, Ray Lewis, this could go in many a direction.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't mean that to like denigrate Ray. Like, he was a great teammate, and
but things evolve.
Yeah, and off the field, like he had everybody's back at all times. But you're right, yeah, things evolve, and when you are like, he was essentially the quarterback of a nascent franchise that grew to be something like a power, and so like you become establishment whether you want to or not. Like you kind of don't have a choice. He was in the very first draft. He was the second draft pick. They went on to win 2 Super Bowls where he was the MVP of one of them, and he was like the most popular player, defensive player of the year, like that guy. And so he he did his dance on Monday night last week. He is the Ravens. So like it's hard for him, I think, to operate in that place when we're in the locker room and we feel like we work for the Ravens, and he feels like he's with us, but also he is the Ravens.
You also management. Yo,
yeah.
Let me tell you something that's interesting to think about that you just said that I had not considered. That used to be the Cleveland Browns. Like I think people, and I imagine some of you youngsters know this, but you have to think about this. The Cleveland Browns, which when they moved, they were bad the year before, but I want to say they had made the playoffs a little bit before that. Like, they were not abjectly terrible. They suffered heartbreak, but it was like playoff heartbreak. Yeah. But they're still the Cleveland Browns, and so they moved to Baltimore, and they changed the name because, quite honestly, nobody could love any of the imaging of the Cleveland Browns but Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Like, can you imagine bringing orange and brown to a new place and thinking you about to sell some shirts? Like, don't nobody want that, right? So, they went and they turned it all over. You know what I'm saying? And, like, boom, the Ravens. So it's like out of nowhere, and the records treat them as an expansion franchise. But they washed off all the mediocrity of being the Cleveland Browns remarkably quickly. And they did it very simply. Drafted Jonathan Ogden and Ray Lewis on the same day.
That is absolute turnaround. In defense, I mean, I guess you aren't being critical of Baltimore for stealing the Browns, but as somebody who grew up in Baltimore, was there when we got the Ravens, like, we felt like we were just playing the game, man. Because the Colts left us, so like we had to get a team here somehow.
You know what else I was about to say? Y'all's feeling was kind of like a theory I may or may not have had at different points in my life about buying stolen property. I've been got, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I've been got, and now I'm getting back without having to steal myself.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as like a relationship analogy. I think is the way that I looked at it. Was like, he left y'all. Yeah. Like, I mean, he looking for a new partner, and you guys just expect us to be like, no, you shouldn't have done that to my friend. Nah, come on over here.
Well, I also think the real insult to that for Cleveland had to be that, you know, Cleveland has been treated, one, they just get tired of all the jokes, right? I get it. Like, from Don Rickles all the way down, Cleveland became a default city for people to joke about, even if they had never been anywhere near the place, right? So I can understand why the people felt that way. But it also, you know, as is the case with a lot of those Rust Belt cities, you know, they've been treated like a decaying city and a declining city. And I think that if you caught some people in their more honest moments who are from these places, they'd probably feel something similar, right? And they left y'all to go to Baltimore, dog. Like, you know, like it's not like leaving. It's not like when the Cardinals left St. Louis and went to Phoenix. Phoenix was on the come up. Them folks in Cleveland are like, you left us for what? For what? Like,
Rams
you couldn't even
went to
talk.
LA.
Yeah, you couldn't even talk bad about our stadium no more. You going to go play at the one that the Orioles won't play in no more.
Yep. Yeah, they was starting off at Memorial Stadium. But it's not like the Rams leaving St. Louis to go to LA.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a little bit different where you got to be like, oh, I get it. I understand.
Yo,
it's a lot different.
In retrospect, it is really wild that a team once left Los Angeles to move to St. Louis in the middle of the 1990s. You know what I mean? Like, that is completely antithetical to everything that we think about when a team decide is going to leave town. Like, can you imagine if the Philadelphia 76ers just packed up their stuff and went to St. Louis?
My gosh, and Philadelphia ain't LA.
Right.
I don't know. I don't remember the terms of that deal, but man, they must have gave them all types of things to come down there.
Yeah, they wouldn't go give them a stadium. Like, that's the thing about the state of California.
I mean, like, the term, I imagine other cities were interested. I'm just saying the terms had to be outrageous. So, like, I mean, no disrespect, St. Louis, but you St. Louis.
Yeah. No, there's some cities that, like San Antonio, they built the Alamo Dome hoping to get an NFL team. That's been almost 30 years now, and it's never going to happen because of the Cowboys. These people in San Antonio don't need a team. They got the Cowboys.
They don't want a team. One of my homeboys, I'm just getting old because, like, I get invites to, like, all these old people things. One of my homeboys that I played with in college was named a legendary Cleveland Brown last week. I couldn't go because I had to work, but he went out there to do that. It's just, and I got an invite from Mike Shanahan to come out for him to be inducted into the Ring of Fame in Denver. I just feel so old. I've been to the Hall of Fame ceremony twice for teammates. It's just I don't know. I have no point. I'm not going anywhere. It just made me think about how old I am. I'm at a point in my life where I'm getting invited to retirement parties and legendary celebrations of my coworkers.
You want to go talk to Shanahan about, like, what's going on in the world?
No, I don't. I do not. I do not.
Have a chat about that.
We will absolutely never have a chat about that.
You don't have no conversation about that.
No, we talk about what his son is doing, how nice that is. Talk about the time when he traded me. We talk about some good runs we had. We talk about a lot of things. There are lots of things on the list, but I am not talking to him about anything cultural or political or social in this country. I can't do it.
I mean, I'm just saying he might have listened to the new West Side Gun. Like maybe you want to holler at him about the Fuji's tour. Perhaps they'll be stopping by Denver.
I'm gonna ask him what he thinks about the progression of the zone run attack that he helped to pioneer. That's what we're gonna talk about. He knows he's smart when it comes to that.
Yes,
These other things I can't say the same.
It's a great call. It's a great call. Hey, football fans, I want to tell you that NFLSundayTicket.tv is like having front row seats to every live out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. No matter where you live, stream right to your favorite device. And this season, that means 18 weeks of glory and more games than ever before. Visit NFLSundayTicket.tv and order today. Use promo code Bomani2021 at checkout to save 15%. Does this sound familiar? You got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows, you're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at DirecTV.com. That's DirecTV.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package. So I'm kind of curious about the Brady game in Foxborough. One thing, I can't buy what Ninkovich is saying for a second, because Michael Jordan even broke when he went back to play against, to play Chicago for the first time. Like, it's going to be a thing. There's going to be emotion and all of that stuff. And this is a rare situation. I think Peyton Manning had a similar one, though the circumstances were a bit different, where the legendary guy leaves and there's no beef with the locals. Like there's no real controversy that's surrounding it. Like they're all going to be really happy to see him.
Yeah. How could there be any beef with the locals? Like
yes.
I can't imagine
the locals find ways, baby. Locals find ways.
That is true. Cleveland was mad at LeBron. But I mean, LeBron didn't bring him a championship, I guess. Which I guess is the difference. But he brought them 6 of them. I think that if anybody boos him, they need to take a real look in the mirror and relax, because they named their kids Brady. They need to go ahead and stick with their Lord and Savior Tom Brady.
And then the Bucs are gonna beat the pants off of them.
Yeah, that's gonna be uncomfortable.
Are the Patriots good at anything? Because I felt like their defense wasn't so bad last year. I haven't paid too much attention this year. Mac Jones, I know you was big into him early this year, but he did not look like a great player the last time we saw him.
Yeah, he's not great. Sadly, he's better than the rest of these rookie quarterbacks right now. At least he's performing better. So, yeah, the defense is talented. Like, they have guys, but it's not turning into the same thing on the field. It's a real sad situation up there. Not sad because I feel sorry for them, but sad because I think they believe they were going to be better. And I believe they were going to be better. But that division is going to be tough. They're going to end up near the bottom of that thing. Well, the Jets will be there.
So let me throw something at you here. And I'm not trying to start a thing or anything like that. I want to be very clear about that with people. But how long, if you're Belichick, if you're Bob Kraft, do you allow the team to be mediocre before you decide we got to move on to something else?
Well, forever. The ego that comes with somebody like Bob Kraft, and I don't mean ego negative in a negative way. I got an ego too, but like I think Bob Kraft probably believes. He accepts that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick had a large part to do with this, but I think he also believes that he had a big part in this. So maybe, and like I think his son Jonathan is running more and more stuff these days, and that might be the reason where he's like, all right, well, it's my turn to put my kind of thumbprint on this. Like I think that's more likely than Kraft making a move, because like I feel like it's really hard considering what they've accomplished. Like I'm going to go ahead and trust you until you don't want to show up to work no more. Like, I can't imagine. I'm just putting myself in that situation. I can't imagine firing Bill Belichick.
All right, so I am going to present 3 examples of guys through history who could have or kind of wind up in similar situations. These long runs, legendary runs with their franchises, and then at some point, like everybody, they get old, right? The first one I will bring up is Tom Landry, who is, in some ways the OG of this discussion. And for people who do not realize, so why is it that the Cowboys are such a big deal? From 1966 to 1985, the Cowboys had a winning record every year. They didn't have the Super Bowl wins, but they are kind of sort of the Patriots of that time. And when you remember how close a lot of those Super Bowls were for the Patriots, like 3-point games, 1-possession games and stuff like that, that's kind of the analog there. They won 10 games in 1985. They won 7 games in 86. They won 7 games in 87. They won 3 games in 88. Jerry Jones bought the team. Tom Landry got fired. He got 3 years, and this is, again, Tom Landry.
Right.
Chuck Noll, 4 Super Bowls in the 1970s. The Steelers were really good through about 1984. 7-win season, 6-win season, 8-win season, 5-win season, 2 9-win seasons, a 7-win season, and then Noll retired. I don't remember if they forced him out, but they gave him about 7 years on that end to try to, figure it out one way or another. After having all those guys, and then they didn't have the guys no more. And then there's Don Shula, who they ran him off after a 9-win season. And it was not because the Dolphins weren't good, because the Dolphins were consistently good throughout that time. They just wanted a Super Bowl, and they didn't think Don Shula could get them to a Super Bowl. And then they pushed him out, and you can look at the Miami Dolphins right now, and that's basically what it has been for the last 25 years since they pushed Don Shula out. Like, Miami used to be a Dolphin town, and it is a Heat town now, and that has been a 25-year process that starts with Don Shula moving out. So there is a range of ways that very similar things wind up getting handled. Now, again, Tom Landry got fired, but that is because new guy bought the team, brought his buddy in who he played college football with, right, Jimmy Johnson, to run the team. Interestingly, by the way, in these stories, 2 times the replacement was Jimmy Johnson at completely different walks of his life and everything else. But so I wonder, if the Patriots come out here, let's say they win 3 games this year, which possible. Mm-hmm. Let's say they win 3 games this year. Let's call it 5, right? Let's say they go 5-12. And win 5 games this year. Let's say they win 6 games next year. And so we talking about 3 straight losing seasons. When you start looking
That's not mediocre. That's not mediocre. That's bad. That's different than mediocre.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like in none of those examples, the problem with trying to make these comparisons, and I'm not even going to talk about how outrageous it is that it's more realistic to say that Bill Belichick has aged out of this than saying Tom Brady has aged out of it. Like, that's an absurdity. It's absurd that that's a real thing that we could actually say. But the tough thing about making these comparisons is none of these dudes have this track record. Like, all of those are Hall of Fame great coaches. You name some guys that got 2 Super Bowls. Shula got 1 Super Bowl.
He got 2.
Oh, he got two Super Bowls. 2 guys with 2 Super Bowls, right? Landry got 2, I think, and Shula got 2. Who was the other one? Was that it?
Chuck Noll, he got 4.
Oh, Chuck Noll, yeah, he had 3, right? 4? That ain't 6, and that ain't going to 9. I'm with you at a certain point in time. It's gonna come a time when you have to move on from it if they can't put it together. But we ain't close to that time yet, because that ain't 6, that ain't 9.
Yeah, it ain't 6, it ain't 9. But from what we starting to gather from the Wickersham book, it doesn't sound like Bob likes Bill that much.
That's true. I've seen some of those.
Yeah, I mean,
there.
like. You and I both know
fair.
life ain't. That's fair, and life ain't. We both know that. If Bob Kraft wake up one day, can you imagine the pleasure that Bob Kraft might take in being able to call Bill Belichick in and firing him?
Yeah, I mean, you're willing to put up with a lot of stuff when it comes with some jewelry and a lot of success and a lot of people celebrating and Bon Jovi sitting in the box with you because your team is good. Like, you willing to do a lot of that stuff, but when you got local car dealers, the only people who want to come to your games, it's gonna be a little different when you can't walk around with your chest out because you can't go to the owners' meetings and roast all the other owners because you keep dominating. It's gonna be real hard to go listen to Bill Belichick say whatever nonsense he says that gets under your skin.
Well, I think another thing, too, this is going to seem like a far-off comparison because I'm going to mention the name Herb Sendak, who should never be in the same sentence with Bill Belichick. But Herb Sendak is a college basketball coach, and he coached at North Carolina State for a while. And he did a pretty good job while he was at State, but he was running like that slow Princeton offense. Like, that was his thing. Yeah. And I learned something in watching the ways that people responded to that, which was, if you're going to play like this, you have to win a lot because it's not fun. The only thing that as a fan you're going to get out of this is the joy of winning. But there's no other payoff that comes for watching your team play slow offense, right? The Patriots, the fun of that is just the winning. Like, you think about this. There are Steelers fans all across the country because of all that winning they did in the 1970s. You get some 49ers fans will pop up and surprise because all that winning they did in the 1980s, right? The Cowboys, we talked about that. It's a span of winning that really stretched about 3 decades, and they got fans all over the place. You don't really come across no whole lot of New England Patriots fans in the wild. Like, if you're not around where they at, like, you just don't have, they don't excite people in that way because it ain't been fun football for them. So if they coming out here and they're losing and there are no players for you to wrap yourself around because it's never been a personality-centered sort of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
What is there to go watch their games for? What is the joy that you're going to get out of this? None.
That was the personality thing was because, like, the style of play has always been defensive focused, the Patriots, with the exception of a couple of years later in Brady's career where they were like, all right, let's score these points.
I'd say later in Brady's career, 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's sad. It's crazy. And now he's out here putting up numbers like the Randy Moss year again. But it's never been that style. Like, it felt to me like Belichick was like, all right, I am going to get all these tiny little advantages, and then I'm going to reduce the opportunity for us to make mistakes. It's like kind of been his strategy. It's like, I'll find all the little loopholes that you guys haven't thought about, and we'll play really good defense, and I'm not going to turn the ball over. I'm not going to ask too much from my offense unless I have to. And that's not fun to watch necessarily. And then you put on top of it, there are no personalities. Like, it's hard. They get rid of the guys if they get too good. They get them out of town, and they certainly have a militaristic kind of hierarchy where it's like a Patriot way. We don't talk about anything. I don't think they actually say the Patriots way. We made that up ourselves, but we all kind of know what it is. It's known around the league. Like, you go there, you might win a Super Bowl, but you ain't gonna have no fun. You ain't gonna be happy. It's kind of what people said when I was in the league about that. And that's all those teams that you named. They have personalities. Like, people I could name. 20 years from now, when we talk about the Patriots, people going to name Tom Brady. Like, who else do you identify with this dynasty? Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. Both very dry.
How many of those dudes are going to make the Hall of Fame? Tom Brady's going to make the Hall of Fame. What's his name? Gronk is going to make the Hall of Fame. I don't think Vince Wilfork is a Hall of Famer, but I think eventually they're going to look around and realize that not enough of these dudes got into the Hall of Fame, and thereby he is going to make the Hall of Fame. Like, Randy Moss is going to make a Hall of Fame, but that's not about that. That doesn't count. That's not about this. They trying to talk themselves into Julian Edelman going to the Hall of Fame. That ain't going to happen. I could make a Hall of Fame case for Corey Dillon. It's not going to happen. Like, who of this run is going to make it? Richard Seymour? Is he going to make the Hall of Fame? I don't think so. Willie McGinnis? Is he going to make the Hall of Fame? I don't think so.
He might. I don't know. Rodney Harrison.
Nah, if he was going to get in, he'd be in.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to get too many guys in there. Maybe Vrabel gets in as a part of, like, if he can coach well enough.
Yeah.
Like, they'll
say the lie to themselves about it.
Yeah.
Troy Brown ain't getting in no Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I can name a lot of players that were on there, but none of them. I don't identify any of them with the dynasty. Like, I identify them with particular runs. All those other teams that, like, the dynasties that we talk about, like, we can name 4 and 5 players that were like, yeah, that was the dynasty. For the Patriots, it's Belichick and Brady, and that's about it. Kraft, I guess.
Yo, if you were Troy Brown, how much would you hate Julian Edelman?
Oh my gosh. Troy Brown played defense.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I was about to say. Like, that's the thing.
He did it all.
I think Edelman got himself a couple snaps at DB at some point. Troy Brown was the nickel back. Or maybe it was the dime back, but he was his job.
He was in a package. Yeah, he was in meetings like throughout the week. Every week he was in meetings. They had to have a special schedule for him where he had to leave the wide receiver meeting to go to the DB meeting. Like he was a part of the package doing multiple coverages. It wasn't what they was doing with Julian.
No, Troy Brown. And he had like a 95 catch season or something like that. Like, Troy Brown got to be seeing all this. Julian Edelman on television. Julian Edelman going to be out here getting commercials.
Oh, yeah. He already got some. I saw him selling some drinks on TV a couple days ago.
Hold up. That Super Bowl year, Troy Brown had 101 catches for 1,200 yards.
What?
The next year, he had 97 catches. Now, granted, those are the only 2 years that he, like, really brought it. But still.
I didn't know he was ever that good. Did he lead the team in receptions? Like
I hope. I hope that was rookie Brady.
Yeah, I never really thought of Troy Brown as a number one, which is why it's kind of shocking me. I always thought of him as like a slot guy who like was super athletic and they could move him to other sides. I didn't think of him as like a number one, but 100 catches back then?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, look, like Edelman has definitely had like a better sum total career. Oh my goodness. Domonique, you got to hear this. On that team, Troy Brown had 101 catches. The number 2 receiver was David Patton with 51. Number 3 was Kevin Falk with 30. Number 4 was Mark Edwards with 25. Those last 2 are running backs. Oh yeah, Troy Brown hates Julian Edelman's guts.
Yeah, he can't be happy about how these things have come to pass. But man, that's you broke me for the day. I didn't. Poor Troy.
I had no clue. By the way, does anybody care about Gronk coming back home? Gronk coming back too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like, I keep talking about Tom Brady coming back. Gronk coming back too.
And Gronk kind of left on. I mean, I don't want to say on bad terms, but like the way that he was like, I retire. Oh, I'll come back if it's not with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. They didn't make Brady not want to play football anymore.
Yeah.
They made Gronk not want to play football anymore. And he's like, oh, no, I'm good.
Yeah, they threatened to trade him. Remember that? Or not threatened to. They tried to trade him, and he was like, nah, I'm not going to Detroit. That's what I'm not going to do.
So this is the thing about Gronk. I was talking to Mina about this when she wrote that story on Rob not too long ago. And I keep trying to explain this to Dan, but it's the truth. And the way Mina put it was, nobody I've talked to is going to tell you that Gronk is smart, but they'll all tell you that he's not dumb. Like, I think that people have this picture in their mind of him is just kind of being this big dummy. And no, that's not the case at all. He is like a man with dignity who peeps game and everything else. And he looked up at that and was like, nah, I don't like how this feels, man.
Yeah, he made the right move. I mean, even him deciding to position himself like that is evidence of his intelligence. Like, who gets to live like Gronk and still get respected? I don't know how he pulled it off, but he has pulled it off.
By the way, is he playing? Because I saw that shot he took last week, and I forgot to check if he was doing okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean,
you don't see licks like that in the NFL very much. It's just not like there used to be dudes who made their living. I don't know if you saw this, but Chuck Cecil, he coaches DBs at Arizona, and he was like, I had an NFL career because I was really good at targeting, and that was all Chuck Cecil ever did when he played. There's nobody whose job that is now. You don't see a lot of those hits, but Gronk is like on that Robert Griffin, Colt McCoy. When you do get a lick on me, it looked like it came out of cartoon.
Yeah, that the idea of the changing like priorities of the game is an interesting one to me because there are plenty of guys who are perfectly built for the NBA of the 90s who are selling shoes in Foot Locker. And it's like they're exactly what you needed back then, but it's not. They were just born a few years too late and their life has changed. And the same thing for the league. The NFL is like these guys who would have been perfect linebackers. You better learn how to rush the passer or you're going to be coaching high school football. And the same for these safeties who couldn't cover nobody. They couldn't cover nobody. It was just small linebackers. Their only purpose was once a week, try to commit manslaughter on the field. That's it. Just like one time a week so that next week they know. And they had a career. And there's plenty of those guys out there right now. Hopefully they are not actually committing manslaughter, but they are doing something.
Like, you think about it, there's no receiver in the league where you're like, yo, he makes those tough catches over the middle. That doesn't exist anymore. Like Michael Irvin, if you youngsters need to understand why it is that Michael Irvin is the guy on TV and everything else, because Michael Irvin was literally willing to die to try to catch a football. That was, I'm going over the middle and I'm taking whatever you throw at me. That is just not something that you have to say about a wide receiver anymore.
That's the best thing, or I think probably the most understood thing about all those Miami teams is people focus on the flash. Them boys was workers. Like they was, when you say this is my team, and you know how if you're an entrepreneur, you own your own business. Like people think that, oh, you're your own boss. You work so much harder in that situation. And that's what I felt when I learned more about those Miami teams and spending time around guys in the league who played at Miami. They get there and they this is my team. And I'm not going to let y'all slack on my team. I don't care whose name is on the offices upstairs. And they fight like that. And I think Michael Irvin is the perfect example of that, is somebody who was at least at one point viewed as like a diva wide receiver who's kind of loose cannon. But, man, he was going to work till he died or play like his life depended on it.
A big reason why that fell off, and I got it, is they felt like the former players had too much influence over the program and over the players, and they tried to create some measure of distance over time, but they didn't understand that that was actually the superpower.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like their superpower was you are coming back and you are watching Michael Irvin run routes with a weighted vest on in July in the afternoon in Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like this what you got to do, right? A bunch of dudes, and none of them have beef. Like it's like, oh, you beat me on the depth chart, cool. We got so many players, everybody gonna get to play, baby. It don't even really matter. Like they own a program.
Yeah, and that's what coaches say they want, say they dream of, but it's the same with the Belichick thing. What comes with winning all those Super Bowls is apparently Bill Belichick's not a fun person to hang out with or be around. It's like, okay, you know what comes with having a team or having players really take ownership of a program? Some stuff that you don't approve of, but they are going to fight and work like their life depends on it. I had a coach, college recruiting guy who does a lot of really great recruiting, and he's a coach in college football right now. Tell me, this shouldn't be a revelation to anybody, but I look for guys who don't got many other options, because then this becomes the thing that is so important to them, like a psychological, whatever they are, when they don't, you just can't go back. It's what you say all the time. Like those guys, it's different. I had other options. I wasn't about to pass out during no conditioning, which is, I mean, I wasn't a Hall of Famer. Maybe you can't say it wasn't because of athleticism or anything like that. It was because I had other options.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is Domonique Foxworth. Check him out all over the ESPN broadcast platforms and here every Friday on Foxworth Friday. I appreciate you, my man.
Always, man.
All right, man. And ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us here on The Right Time. We do this 3 times a week. Gabe Bassan and Dave Presley handling everything behind the scenes. Thank you, gentlemen. Remember, follow The Right Time. Rate us, review us, give us 5 stars. You only give us 4 stars, I'm inclined to believe you are a hater, and we'll talk to you guys in a couple of days. Take it easy.